Um, and then the goal is we have this great new API and we want you to be able to use it. And sometimes just getting connected is enough to help getting started. And we'll kind of show you how that works. Has anyone used a lot of AI before?
I have mainly Claude.
Mainly Claude?
Hmm.
Cool.
I'm still using just like chat rather than agent stuff like code or codex. So that's kind of where I want to learn a little more.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've
totally.
been vibe coding every day.
Killer. So this might be a little rudimentary, but I'll show you how to. We'll get connected to our API, and then we'll be starting office hours maybe like next week too, where if you just want to come and chat and work and chat through ideas or like what you're working on or troubleshoot stuff on our API, I'll basically just be running those to be like, okay, let's talk, talk about what's going on. This is going to be pretty basic. Does everyone have did everyone sign up for Vercel? The reason we're using Vercel is they give you a few dollars of free credits. So we should be able to get connected using the free credits. I also think Vercel is a really good one to learn with, especially when you're first getting in. It was the first one I was using. It's very straightforward. It will code applications for you, um, and it'll do it all in the preview, and it'll connect live. And it's basically it does a lot of the things, but it's still just like a chat browser system. So you can just use it and use it to start building and kind of access the data directly. Um, the downside of it is it can be a little expensive. So the better you get at this, you might switch over to Claude Code or you might use other platforms to help kind of reduce the cost. But I think it's kind of the best one to learn because it's pretty simple. So we've all got Vercel set up. You should have some credits. Um, Does everyone have this pulled up as well? This vibe code HTML file. You should download it to your computer and then just open it in your browser.
Is that something you sent ahead of time?
It's in the email thread. Let me look. I don't think you were on this thread. Let me add it, Will. The other thing I'm going to send you guys is this API docs. It's in the chat. This is just a link. These are the documents that the AI will use. So a lot of the time you can just give this to the AI and it'll and tell it to read it. Um, we are working on an MCP that should be the beta of that will be coming out next week. So what an MCP is basically you can tell the AI to go read the MCP and it gives it like instructions on how to use this. And a lot of that is based off of this. So has anyone seen an API doc before?
Yep.
I'll give you guys the basic rundown. You don't have to go into this too deep. Um, but the API docs are basically the documentation that shows everything that can be done through this API. So a good example of this would be if I go to listings and I look at this get means it can get it out of the API and retrieve all listings. This is like what the AI has to code to go send and say, hey, go get all the listings, exclude the inactive, include the managed. The managed is that the piece that I didn't have in the instructions before, and we had added. And then on the right, it shows what comes back. So when you do this, you get all of this data back through the API. A lot of this through the AI is going to be really simple. It'll like kind of figure it out. But if you're getting really deep, it helps to read these because you can, troubleshoot. You can be like, hey, I do know that number of reviews is available. I want to get that back. Um, so let's go into this doc real quick. And oh, someone else is here. God, I wish that pop-up would show up somewhere else. We got a few new people. I'll let them hop in real quick. The other thing we'll need for this is an API key. So if you log into Wheelhouse, Hello.
Hi there. Sorry, I got lost in joining the meeting.
Oh, you're good. I'll recap where we are because we really haven't done much other than just kind of get started here. If you go to Wheelhouse, you go up to your name and go to API key, we'll be able to create API keys down here.
All
So
right.
first things we want up, Vercel, which you want to be signed into, and hopefully have your free credits so you don't have to put any money in. This
Yep.
is from the email. This is that attachment. So it's just an HTML file that will include some of the instructions. And this is something you can go back to. It includes a lot of the instructions we'll be going over today.
All right.
These API docs, which are in the chat, uh, this is more for your future state. We're also going to give it to the AI and tell it to read it. And then the Wheelhouse account, you want to access the listings. Now, if you don't see this RM management API keys, does anyone not see this? I can give you access. Just drop the email of the account you're using in the chat, and I can give you access to it. Uh, but I think I gave most of the signups, at least what they signed up with, access. Okay. And let me know if anyone needs me to stop. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go, I'm going to use this. I'll hit this get started. Um, these are just the instructions we said, right? Go to V0. We're going to have to get an API key and we're going to start a new project. So in V0, that just means new chat. I'm just going to start a new chat. I've got this project here. And this is where we talk. We're not going to talk yet, but we'll generate a thing. So this is pretty easy. This is just those instructions. We'll go to the next page. And it's saying get the API docs. You can either download these here as a JSON, and we'll just drop that into the chat. We'll give it that. I usually like to give it the link too. Um, why won't these admit? There we go. So API docs. So I'm just going to give it the link, and I'll leave that there for now. Hey guys, I saw two new people pop in, and one of them just left, I think. Um, if you're new, just say something. I can give you the instructions of where we are.
Hi, I just joined. Sorry, I'm late.
No problem, Martin. So where we are is I have Vercel or V0 open and you got to make an account. So V0 is just a vibe coding platform, but they give you free credits. This is the attachment that I linked in the email. So you can open it up. It just has these instructions again. So I'm using it to kind of go through it. The API docs are in the chat. Okay, I see what you're saying, Robert. Um, and then I have Wheelhouse opened up and I'm on the RM API key. The API key's down so we can get an API key when I need it. Um, and what we've done is we've put the RM API docs into Vercel. So we're going to give them the RM API docs so it can figure out how to communicate with our API. Now, the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to click this drop-in instructions and we're going to give it some instructions. So these instructions, these aren't something you have to do every time, but we have written some instructions to help get you set up on the API. It's worth reading these because over time you'll probably want to build instructions for yourself. But essentially, this is going to tell Vercel how to approach this API. And so the way we add these instructions in Vercel is you go to this plus sign. We'll go down to instructions, new instructions. I'm just going to put in kickstart, wheelhouse, kickstart instructions, and then we'll do 6.25.26. And we'll just paste those here. And so when you're looking at these, you can see there's a few things that like, I'll give you an example of what these instructions contain that can be kind of helpful. Um, Will, I added this to the instructions, include manage listings must be set to true. So it's just telling it right off the bat, like when you're building this, do that from the API docs. These instructions should be able to help you with most of the platforms. So if you go and you're like, I want to do this with Claude, you can probably use these instructions initially. They're going to be pretty light because they're really only for this purpose of like getting connected, but they should be able to help you. And then as you're getting more advanced, you can hit me up. I've been developing a lot of instructions for my own building, right? So we've got one set of instructions there. Once you've added that instruction, you just make sure it's selected. There's another set here. You don't have to use this one, but the person who I was working with before was a designer, so he has design instructions as well. You can just add those as another instruction. I'm going to add mine. I already have it here, so I'll add those design instructions. And that's just giving it advice on like when it creates a business intelligence tool, like some creative design choices there. So we have both instructions added. I'll pause here for a second. Anyone need any help?
Um, Sorry, I lost you in between. Where are these instructions? On which page?
So this is the file that I sent you guys via email. Let
Right.
me also just put these in the chat so you can grab this if you don't have the file pulled up. So these are the Kickstart
I
instructions.
I do have the file. On start building page, a drop-in instructions. Okay, I found it. All right.
Ah, gotcha. Yeah, yeah. You can click these up here. Anyone else? All right, we'll move forward. We're going to go click up here to starting prompts. We can use this prompt here. Read the kickoff instructions and help me get started with the RM API. This is pretty basic, and the reason why this is so simple is because we're telling in the instructions to connect. A lot of the time you might say like, hey, read these API docs and use the instructions to help me get connected to the RM API. It's fine to just be that simple and be like, help me get connected to this API, right? Help me get connected to the Wheelhouse API. A lot of just learning this right now, it's like it's totally fine to just ask it questions. Like one of the tricks with doing this is honestly, if it's stuck, just be like, you're stuck. I don't know what to do. I'm not a developer. How do I fix this? How do you fix this? Totally fine. So for now, we're just going to tell it like, read these docs, use the instructions, and help me get connected to the Wheelhouse API. You can use this one too, which is basically saying the same thing. One trick here, I'm going to click this and I'm going to turn this to Pro. I think that Vercel defaults to the highest model now, so it like overthinks, I think. So we'll see if this works. It should reduce cost. Um, but we'll hit this on Pro, and I'm just gonna hit this here, chat. And now it's gonna think, and it's going to read these docs, and it's kind of interesting. If you've never seen this, it'll tell you what it's thinking about, right? Um, and what should happen now is we should get a prompt to put in the API key. So we'll wait. It doesn't always do this. You guys will find as you use AI, you'll get different outputs even when you're using the same materials. Um, but the instructions do tell it to prompt you for the API key, so it should do that for Vercel. Okay, so you can see I got this add environmental variable, Wheelhouse API key, enter the key here. The reason we have it prompting this way is you pretty much never want to put things like API keys directly in the chat. When you get these, like all of these platforms have this thing called a variable, and it allows you to store it in the platform so that the AI uses it as a token and it doesn't actually reveal it to the AI. And so if you don't get this pulled up, I'll show you how to get to this in the system. But did everyone like, let me know if you guys don't get this to pull up. But what I'm going to go do here is I'm going to go to Wheelhouse and I'm going to create an API key. I'm just going to do 6.25 vibe code. You can call it whatever you want. You do have to put a name in it. I'm going to click read only for now. You don't have to do that, but I think it's better when you're experimenting to not give yourself write capabilities in case you accidentally screw something up. And I'm going to create this key. Now, this is really important. You're not going to be able to see this key again. So you need to either like copy this and save this on your computer if you want to reuse this key. But as soon as I click out of this, that key is not visible anymore. It's not the end of the world. You can revoke keys and create new ones. But just so you know, if you close it, you're not going to be able to access it. I'm going to go ahead and copy this. I'm just going to put it in here. Submit. Don't say that. And it'll keep thinking. So, did anyone not get that pop-up?
For me, it's warming up for preview.
Sorry, say that again.
For me, it's still loading, still
Oh,
building
that's
it.
fine.
I got the environment key. Yeah.
Yeah. It sometimes it'll take a minute. We'll do some sitting. Like a lot of the time when you're building with AI, you're like, okay, I'm gonna go work on something and tell it to do this, and then you check back and you're like, how did that cost $12?
Right. I know, four, maybe more sometimes.
It'll be cheap when you're first learning, but what happens is you get really good at writing complex prompts, and you're like, that ran for 30 minutes, and it built out like 4 databases so that and a job to pull the reservation data and store it and then access it. And it's like $12 seems expensive, but it would have cost me a lot more to hire an engineer to do that. All right, I'll let this keep going for a second. I will show you where these variables are. Um, Let me open a different one. Okay, yeah. I don't want to do any of those. Okay, let's see. Do this one. So, where are the variables? Things always seem to move around. Okay. So if you don't get that pop-up or you like are creating different keys, that pop-up is putting the variables in a specific place. If you go up into the top, you can see there's this environmental variables thing. And if I go to there, this is a little complex. You can see I have different variables. If you open in Vercel, they're technically two different platforms. You can add your variables into this as well. And so you just go add a variable and you can put in like the key, which would be the name of it, and the value. So this is where that key goes. So if you don't get that pop-up, this is where we'll put it. If you have different keys, this is where you would put them. So let's say like maybe you have multiple wheelhouse keys. You could add them all here, name them. You just have to tell the AI, like if you're not using the exact name for the API docs, you'd be like, hey, I called it this. Use this as the key, but make the name correct. But you can also put other keys here too. So there's a lot of other kind of APIs you can get access to. Maybe you have access to Guesty API. You could put your Guesty API key in here too and tell it when to use what. There's public APIs too. One of my favorite APIs that I found is Ticketmaster has an API that's free. And it's a distribution API. So you can basically query every single event that's occurring in the world, the information on the event, and the information on the venue. And so you can connect that API to Vercel and ask it to like, hey, find all of the events that are in venues over 500 people in Chicago, right? Those are all things you can start to connect, and you would put those different API keys into these variables, right? And pretty much every platform will have some version of this, right? So if you're using Claude, they have a place where they store variables. If you're using, Copilot or whatever, you can always store these variables because the reason is you don't want the chat to actually read it. You want it to be in a secure place. Okay, so where was I? What did you do? Okay, so this is what happened. This is interesting. So what happened is it did connect. These are my sample listings from my account, but it's doing it in a really weird format. It's basically trying to pull the image and it's doing it in tiles. So I'm going to give it a little bit of advice. It was like, you don't have to say, hey, Vercel. I always do that. My team laughs at me. Hey, Vercel, thanks for connecting this. I'm nice to the clankers because I think they're going to, remember. Um, Really good work, Vercel. I want to make some changes. Let's go ahead and show this data as a table. Remove the thumbnail image and give me columns for name, bedroom count, and address, and let me filter by bedroom count. So I'm telling it to do a few things. I know this is live because I know these are the listings in my portfolio. I want it to just basically change the format and I want it to give me a few specific columns. I know these columns are available because if I go to the RM API, I can see that I have a number of bedrooms. I know that address is here. So this is what's available in that poll that we did. And I'm just going to hit this and let it think, and hopefully it'll just do this for me. And so far we haven't spent $1, so I think it was the right move to put it on Pro because I did this last week on Max and it spent like $2, and it just what it kept doing is adding to it. I gave it a very simple like give me the list, and it was like, oh, and I'll add this like filter and I'll add this like thing. I was like, no, 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 just do the thing I asked you. And sometimes you can tell it that it was like bare bones, just do this. Okay, there we go. So now I got a table with my listings. It's still thinking a little bit, so we'll see what it does. It's doing testing. That's nice. I might make it stupider. So I'm going to have it do a simple thing because this is like, I think when you're first learning, doing really small iterations is useful, right? It's like, this is great. Vercel, let me sort by clicking the headers. Yeah, we'll just do that. Let me sort by clicking the headers. So while this is thinking on my side, where is anyone at? Is anyone stuck? Anyone not get their list of listings?
I got mine, but it is just failing to load few sections like preferences. I think it'll resolve the errors by itself. Yeah, it is.
Sometimes it will pop up things that's like tells you for permission.
Hmm.
As a person who's not a developer, just say yes.
No, it's fixing itself, so I'm just watching it.
Good. Okay, so now I can click these and it does this. This is interesting. Why am I missing names on some of these? Okay. Um, so this is good. I have this list, and you can kind of just tell it all kinds of things. It was like, make the header blue, please. So this is essentially a website builder. We're building a website and you're also building an application. So right now we're just building a website interface and it's pulling off the API, but you can do more complex stuff. You can tell it like, hey, I want to pull the reservation data overnight and store it instead of doing a live API call. Can you do that? We'll talk a little bit more about complex stuff. But to start out with, really, I think the way to start learning is just make it do stuff, right? Like tell it to do stuff. If it breaks, ask it what's wrong. Say like, why isn't this working? The way it is. The better you get, the more specific you'll be in your prompts, right? The more specific you are, the better it's going to act and the more efficient it's going to act. And you'll be able to write really complex prompts. So this is great. It made it blue. Now I'm going to go back to this and we're going to give it this. I'm going to give it this other prompt, visualization prompt lead time histogram. So I'm going to pop this in and I'm just going to read this because I might change it. Build visualization histogram of lead time with average ADR for each bucket. I'm going to add a piece here. Let me do this. Oops, where are you? And I'll copy this in for you. Let me select a listing and have it open a tab in the platform with a visualization histogram. Check-in, checkout, or reservation check-ins, checkouts, filter by listings. I don't listings to include from that page. Filter by bid. Now let's just do this. Filter. Time period, check-in, checkout. Okay, we'll start here. This is simple. Last time I gave people too complex of a prompt and it ate up their tokens. And I'm going to turn this back up to Pro just because what I'm asking it to do is allow me to select a listing and have it open a new tab and create this visualization for me. So I'm going to just turn it up a little bit because who really knows what the intelligence is, but I know max is too much. Well, this is thinking. I'll show you another version of this that I've been working on. Um, this is with live data for an account I do revenue management for. And you can see I have a very similar starting point. I have the listings. I have some filters here so I can filter down to like Savannah. And I'm just going to pick a bunch of these 2 bedrooms. So this is a more complex version that's kind of finished. And I've been just asking it over and over again to do stuff. And if I click those listings and hit Open Analytics, it'll pull up this BI tool that I've asked it to build, which is very similar. It's where we're starting. It's a histogram of lead time buckets, and I have ADR overlaid on it. And then I have a selection. I asked it, hey, I want to choose which months of data it uses. I want to be able to choose which years of data it's using. And it's updating this data. Now, I did want to validate it, so I asked it, hey, if I click on a column, show me the reservations. So I went into Wheelhouse and just validated that it was pulling the right data and using the correct information. It asked me questions. It was like, hey, do you want this to include fees? Do you want it to not include fees? What fields do you want to use? As you get better, you put that stuff into the prompt. You're like, use these fields, do this exactly. But, as you're learning, you can give it basic instructions and then just talk to it about clarifying what's there. So I also went a little further, right? I asked it to like start counting the canceled reservations too and put those into the buckets, but to separate them on the chart as a stack chart so I can see where my reservations were canceling and what their ADRs were. And I built this kind of like just flexible BI tool by doing what we're doing here. Now, I wanted to go even farther because when I was doing this, whenever we're doing this, and you'll see this when I click this, it's going to pull the data live from the Wheelhouse API. And I wanted this to be able to work in bulk. You saw I selected 6 listings here. And that is a lot of data to pull through the API. So the next kind of piece I did was I asked Vercel, like, hey, Vercel, I want to create a database attached to this to store the reservation data so that when I'm working in it, it's much faster. I don't have to wait for the API. And so I just asked it to do that. Can you help me connect a database to this that will store the data when we pull it so that whenever I'm re-accessing the data, I don't need to re-pull it? And it gave me instructions and we connected a database and it started building the database tables and it asked me for stuff, right? Like it was like, hey, I was like, we don't need to pull all of the reservations all the time because past data doesn't change very much. So we just want to pull future data if the data is already in the system. And so it figured out how to do that. And you can see it built all these reservation tables so that I can hold reservation data. And basically it makes this page much faster if I've already looked at the data. Then I asked it, hey, Vercel, I have API rate limits. I can't just be smashing on this API all the time. So can you build a program that will go pull all the reservation data for all my listings at this time at night? And so you can go pre-fill this so that when I'm working on this, I don't actually even have to hit the API because it's already in the system. And it went and did all that. Those are like more expensive queries, right? Because I asked it to build like all these different things. But that's the kind of place you can go. And it just starts by asking it, like, hey, how can I make, you can even do things like, hey, this is kind of slow. How can I make this faster? And it'll give you advice. It'll be like, maybe make a database or maybe do this or like, whatever. But you can, initially, it helps to just ask those questions. That's how I learned how to do it. Now I know, like, hey, if I want to build something like this, I'm probably going to ask it to build a database and build a program to pull that data when I'm not using it so that I don't use my API limits when I'm operating live. But this all came out of doing stuff like this. So I've gone here. Let's see what it did. So I can click a row and we'll see what it gets here. So we'll just click, what's something I have reservations on? My sample listings are dumb. We'll click this one. Okay, cool. So it decided to pop it out the side. That's interesting. Check in and check out. We'll do check in. Oh, okay. Why is it doing that? So I'm going to tell it this. So this is a good, if you're not very specific, it's going to interpret it. So I might decide to tell it like, hey, Vercel, This is great, except I don't want it to pull out of the side. I want it to make another tab at the top I can switch between. You can give it other instructions too. Also, the what are these called? The drop down coloration is white on white. For example, clicking June, you can't see the options. So it'll probably just fix that. So I'm telling it, I don't want this to pop out of the side. I want it to have a tab up here, and I can't see this.
Mhm.
So we'll let that run. Where are you guys at? Is anyone stuck? Have you been able to get the listings? Have you been able to have it build something?
John, I'm still not, I'm just getting hypotheticals. I know last time there was an issue with the shared. Um, is there something I'm missing?
Can you share your screen?
Yeah.
Rodney, you can't push. I mean, theoretically, you could push prices into hospitable, but like this, does the RM API final custom nightly rate? So, like, theoretically, you could do this. It would be a ton of work. Like, because you'd basically be rebuilding everything that like Wheelhouse and Hospitable did through our integrations. You could theoretically do it. Like, I don't know that it would be worth doing because usually the integrations are going to be an easier way to do that. Um, a lot of the RM API is about getting data out to be able to build your own BI tools, and you can also build automations back in. So we have posting capabilities. So you could like build an automation that's like, hey, analyze my pickup for the next 7 days across units and suggest how much to drop, and then push that back into Wheelhouse. That would be something you could do. You could theoretically bypass Hospitable, but you would basically need to get the API to pull the stuff out of Wheelhouse, which you can do, but then also put it into Airbnb and VRBO somehow. Okay, let me look here. Will, what do you got? Can you also send me the email address of the account you're using?
Yeah.
And let's just ask it real quick. Like, hey, Vercel, you're only showing me hypotheticals, and I actually only want to see the managed listings. Are you getting the managed listings through this, and can you show those on this?
I asked a similar question. How many properties do you have access to? And it said 5. I don't know if that answers your question too.
Where did you send me the email address you're on?
Sorry, I haven't sent it just yet. Uh, Let me stop sharing. Sorry. Are you just seeing my V0 or
Yeah,
are
I'm
you
just seeing your
seeing,
V0.
you're not seeing me switching between tabs?
It's just your will at MVL lodging, right?
Yeah, that's the main email. I don't know that you need the others though, or the different
No, I don't think I do, but I do have a hunch. I'm wondering if I have to actually enable this on the other ones. Let me look. So, viewer, editor, manager. Wait, hold on. You have 176 listings. I thought these were spread out across a bunch of different accounts. How are these shared to you?
Uh, I want to say there's like 300 properties, but only 170 are true, and it's spread between 9 accounts.
Okay, I'm going to do something real quick. Use Wheelhouse. So experiments. Legs. Our API keys. Use Wheelhouse. Okay, let's do this. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Okay, ask it to try again.
Yeah, it's just still getting the hypotheticals.
Can you ask it if it sees anything from channel Streamline?
No, it doesn't see anything from Streamline. We can do this offline too if that's better.
No, I think it's worthwhile to troubleshoot here.
Okay.
This is your you called the key trip rentals. Oh no, that's not pulling through. And can you ask it one more time? Like it does have managed listings as true, right? No, no, no. It's misunderstanding it. You can stop it. Well, it might figure it out on its own, but let me give you the exact way to write this. So send it this and say it is in the query parameter for retrieve all listings for authenticated user as include managed listings, and that needs to be true.
Sorry. Copying what you sent, pasting it, you said to say something else.
Yeah, just say it's in the query parameter, include managed listings needs to be true.
Inquiry listings.
Uh, no, no, sorry. Include managed listings. Yeah. Sometimes you just gotta. What's funny is the more you use these, like it kind of remembers these things, and these are things that you'd build more and more into the instructions. Let's see if this fixes it. Needed to tell it where to look.
This changes everything.
Yeah, sometimes it's not a good listener.
Looks like it's finding
Hopefully.
far more properties. And most are from
Just like,
Streamline.
no, Vercel, it's in the thing I sent you. It's just like you're just a manager. It's just
Yep.
now you're managing a robot that is pretty smart, but also not very good at reading. So just like everyone else. But we'll
Learn so
see.
much.
Hopefully that comes through. We'll let it keep thinking. Is anyone else stuck somewhere? One thing I will note here for you guys as you're experimenting with this, and I'm gonna take the screen from you for a second, and we'll pop back if that doesn't fix itself here. Um, our chat, let me go over here. to mine. Our chat is available to help you with this. So if you are working on the RM API, we have invested a lot of time and expense into working with our CS team, who is 24/7 to help you troubleshoot issues with the API. Now, granted, a lot of this is new for everyone, so we'll do our best to help, but we have done doing a lot of training, and we do encourage you to use the chat to ask questions. And if you see something that seems incorrect, definitely tell us because we're logging bugs for that. But if you are working through this, our in-platform chat can help with these kind of situations a lot of the time. Uh, Okay, so I'll check mine. We'll see what this is doing. It finished, so I'll click this. Okay, great. It did what I asked it to do. Now, click MA. I'm going to have it do the same thing I did on the other one. Hi, Vercel. Can you let me select the column and have it show me the included reservations in a table below? Also, I want the y-axis to be the count of reservations in that bucket. All right. Will, did that bring up your listings?
It claims it has. Now I've asked it to put it into the dashboard we made, and it's just working on that.
Okay, cool. Um, Sweet. So, anyone else kind of stuck anywhere?
My table is ready. Visualization is taking some time to come through. Let's see.
One thing to note too, you can also stop Vercel with this button. So like sometimes you'll see that it's like kind of done what you asked it to do, and sometimes you can just stop it. That happens sometimes when you're connecting. I feel like it just constantly tries to add more than what you asked for. Um, and if you hit stop, it'll just stop running and leave it at its current point. Um, Oops, what did I just close?
Oh,
Okay, so a few things here. I mean, this is just to kind of get you guys seeing how you can connect and start to ask it stuff. Um, for kind of next steps for you guys, there's a lot of great ways to think about like what you want to do. And we'll be running office hours so that you can hop on and be like, hey, how do you do this? A lot of the practice, I think, comes from developing the prompts, right? So for this, the difference between like doing this and doing this, learning, I like to just iterate, right? So I didn't do this right. Um, and I'm going to tell it. You didn't really let me click the columns on the histogram to open a table showing me the reservations in it. Have it open with reservation fields like check-in, check-out, creation date, and total revenue or total rental revenue and ADI. And just iterating like this, I think, is the best way to learn. The better you get at this, you'll want to create pretty robust questions and prompts, right? You want to tell it specifically, like, use these fields, do this thing, have this behavior. And sometimes you can, something I'll do often is use another AI to help me write the prompt, right? It's like, hey, I want to do all this, write a prompt for Vercel to do this like better, right? That's something you just get experience with. I honestly think right now the best thing to do is just kind of like have it iterate because you'll learn what it's kind of doing and you'll learn what works. And if it runs into a problem or something is broken, you can just ask it like, how do I fix this? How do I do this? And if you have other ideas, you're like, hey, I want to connect this to something else. Just ask it, how do I connect this to this? Or how would I build a database here? Or how would I make this better? And it'll give you advice, right? Um, Vercel, I think, is a great one to learn. Just remember to maybe switch this around, otherwise you'll eat through tokens. Eventually, you can do things like use Claude code. or like other platforms. So like this is Claude code on my terminal. So this is accessed directly to my computer, and is building things locally. This is the Claude Code app, which you can basically do the same thing. You can see I was using Claude, the chat, to develop instructions for Claude Code on my computer. And these instructions are like to basically use the Wheelhouse API, right? It's telling me like how do the calendar rules work, things like that.
John, sorry, are you sharing your
Right.
screen?
Oh, am I not? Sorry,
No, you can see.
silly. Um, so like you guys
Okay.
heard what I said, but like this is Claude code in my computer, and so you can basically use it the same way. You give it a folder, you say, "Hey, build this stuff into this folder," and then host it off my computer. So if I go to this here, this is basically running an application off my computer instead of off of the Vercel infrastructure. So Claude Code is building these same applications on my computer. Um, they also have like the chat. So I was using the chat to build instructions for Claude Code. So I basically downloaded these instructions, put them in a folder, told Claude Code, go look at this folder and read that stuff. So you can do all kinds of things. I think Vercel is the easiest way personally to just start learning, right? And a lot of the time, if you want to go into something else, the easiest thing to do is just hop into one of these and just say like, how do I set up this on my computer? How do I set up Claude Code? How do I do this? But honestly, Vercel is great because one of the benefits of Vercel is this is a preview, so you can use this live. You could always just go to this and be like, okay, I have a BI tool I want to use. It'll pull the data. But you can also directly from Vercel publish this as a website, and then they'll host the website for you and you can access it, right? And so Vercel is kind of a nice all-in-one, easy learning. Obviously, the more advanced would be like going into Claude Code and building the application and figuring out all the hosting and stuff yourself. Vercel is nice because they have integrations. So like this database integration, it's just controlled through Vercel. When I went to this and I said, hey, I want to make a database, how do I do that? They were like, well, you can set up Supabase through Vercel. You could separately go to Supabase, create an account, get the details for your server, tell Claude Code to point towards it, right? But Vercel is kind of nice because it's kind of all in one. I just think you'll find the more advanced you get that it's a little more expensive than figuring it out yourself. Cool. All right, guys. Well, I got about 10 minutes. I think that's all I need to talk at you about. Is anyone stuck or anyone have any questions or have any ideas? I mean, I have plenty of money. I can, oops, gosh darn it. I can make it do stuff if you want me to.
This has come through well already. Looks good.
Awesome. Will, did that populate with the right list of listings?
Yeah, it did for me.
Perfect.
I ran out of tokens, but it looked like it was about to, so I think we're good.
Cool. Cool thing about Vercel, if you don't want to put money in, you get $2 worth of tokens every day. So by having an account, you have to use them that day. They don't like roll them over, but you do get access to tokens every day for Vercel. So you can keep experimenting until you feel more comfortable, like actually like knowing what you want to build and spending any money on it. We will be doing office hours. Look for an email from us. So if you want to just hop on and build and say like, pull something up you're building and ask for some advice on how to do stuff, or you have ideas, I'll be available to kind of help you do that. If nobody has questions, I'll probably just build stuff on it with you guys. And then we'll be continuing to do these specific workshops every week until our hackathon. So if you know any other team members who want to join or you just want another second look, we'll also look to develop some more advanced workshops probably after the hackathon. And if you don't know what I'm talking about when I say the hackathon, Wheelhouse is running a hackathon off of our API. So you can sign up, go to our LinkedIn, you'll see the sign up. And it is, we are offering cash prizes for it. So opportunity to kind of build something cool off our API, show it off, and we will have judges that are offering basically cash prizes at a bunch of different levels. They'll be like, we're going to offer cash prizes for really advanced folks, but we also will have space for people who are like, more beginner or more like an idea with like a minimum viable product versus like a fully fleshed out thing. Um, Let me grab the LinkedIn link to this so you guys can take a look real quick. But the hackathon should be pretty cool, and I'm a good point of contact where you're also always welcome to reach out to me and be like, hey, I'm trying to do this thing. What do I do here? Or like, can we hop on a call and talk through some stuff? That's kind of my role right now. I'm happy to be available to help out for both hackathon and just in general. And yeah, we want to hear what you're building. We want to know what you're building, so we're happy to help you out.
Is that hackathon? Is it can we integrate with multiple systems as long as Wheelhouse is one of them, or does it just need to be Wheelhouse?
100%. Yeah, one of the things I've been seeding to people is like someone should connect their Google Analytics and build like a trigger off of your own like booking velocity or just anything. But you can totally connect outside systems and it doesn't have to be fully fleshed out, like in the sense where like sometimes these are pretty complex, where like if you wanted to make something that like adjusted rates automatically for based on something from like Google Analytics or something from like some outside source. If you kind of show that the logic works, it doesn't have to be like fully fleshed out for the hackathon. But you can absolutely like we encourage you to connect other ideas, right?
Cool.
And there will be different voting, right? Like sometimes it's like, hey, I just want to be able to analyze things in Wheelhouse off Wheelhouse data and push it back in, or just have a novel visualization tool, but totally open to outside stuff, 100%. I brought up that TripAdvisor, or not TripAdvisor, the Ticketmaster API. I think that one's pretty interesting one, especially if you have urban properties. Oh, nice, Robert. Are you using our posting capabilities? Cool. Yeah. And we will be having an MCP kind of first version coming out next week, so I'm sure you'll hear from us on that. But otherwise, you guys find this valuable? It's good?
Great, thanks.
Great, thanks.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Let me know if you have any questions, and hopefully I'll see you guys again soon.
Thanks,
Thanks,
John.
John.
Bye, guys.
Bye.